And here's another human problem. The tendency that we all have not only is to look externally at our issues and try to change the external, but when it comes even to internal changes, we want a magical cure. Somebody just tap me on the head with a magic wand so I'll be different. Or let's just have a big prayer line at church and the pastor will pray for me and suddenly everything will be better in my life. We have this tendency to think very magically when it comes to having a change in life. Let me quickly add to this. I believe that God can change you in a split second. Okay. I've seen people that have been drug addicts or people who've been alcoholics, and they were immediately, instantaneously delivered from something in their life, and God can do that. God will do that on occasion, but it's not God's modus operandi. It's not how he often, most frequently operates. He usually operates on the basis of you taking initiative to do something, and then he works in your life, okay? A choice you make leads then to something that he does, okay? Does God work miracles? Of course. I talked quite a bit about that last weekend. But most of the change that will ever happen in your life will start with the initiative of you making a choice. And when you make the choice just out of your own will, it will then position you for God to work in your life. This is exactly what we see in the book of Judges. Let me pick up again in verse number 6, and I'll read down through verse number 10. We read verse 6 a moment ago. Let's read it again. So Israel was so reduced to starvation by the Midianites. So now they've been afflicted by their choices. Then the Israelites, what did they do? They cried out to the Lord for help. This is the first time in the story that we see them moving toward God. They cried out to the Lord for help. When they cried out to the Lord because of Midian, what did the Lord do? The Lord sent a prophet to the Israelites. I want you to see the sequence of this. When did the prophet come? Before they cried out or after? The prophet showed up after they cried out to God. So they took an initiative toward God, and God then responded to their initiative. The Lord sent a prophet to the Israelites. He said, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you up out of slavery in Egypt. I rescued you from the Egyptians and from all who oppressed you. I drove out your enemies and gave you their land. I told you, I am the Lord your God. You must not worship the gods of the Amorites in whose land you now live, but you have not listened to me. So this prophet arises on the scene and he calls them to a word we'll talk about more in just a moment. He calls them to repentance in their life. You've been worshiping false gods. And this was the evil that you did. You worshiped the gods of the Amorites and you forgot the Lord. You did not listen to me.